Okay, so we're going to present our one red paperclip assignment. So the first trade we made was for the red paperclip. We traded for a Kate Spade wallet. This is valued at about $119. However, when we looked at resale value with the knowledge that it's a few years old, and as you can see in the picture, the Kate Spade logo is pretty faded. We valued it at about $30.
The next trade we made was for an Xbox remote controller. So I had a Kate Spade wallet and knew the resale value was around $30. And I didn't know the resale value of remote controller at the time, but did know that it was around like $50 to $60. So I was willing to make the trade with my friend.
Yeah, so moving to our third trade then, we actually had a D value here. This was a fault on my behalf. So I took the Xbox controller and was negotiating with my roommates. I thought we had a lot of underlying interest. They had a lot of friends that played Xbox. They also had their own. But ultimately, I ended up making a trade for the Thinking Fast and Slow book, and we went down to $12 for this item.
Moving on, we traded the book for the Daisy Dream Marc Jacobs perfume. This was valued at about $107. However, after realizing that it was about half full, we valued it at $54.
For our final trade then, I was able to get a little bit of redemption from my prior bad trade, but on the prior trade, I did learn that my roommate had AirPods that he'd be willing to trade if we got something better. And I was able to leverage kind of that previous fact and also some timing things and get trade up ultimately to our final product, the Apple AirPods, valued at around $60.
So, as Cole just said, our final acquisition was the Generation 1 Apple AirPods. We valued these at $60 due to the years that they had been used. They were many years old and they had been used. So we then needed to decide how we were going to disperse this, as it was a single item between the three of us. And upon conversation, we decided that it made the most sense for Julia to get the AirPods. And we decided this because Cole and I already had AirPods. So it made the most sense for our group to come down to this decision.
Yeah, so refocusing on one of the notable acquisitions we previously talked about, the book negotiation was really fascinating because it kind of, during the negotiation, I lost the legitimacy that I went in with. Going in, we had a pretty preset value. We knew what the Xbox controller resold for. There's a lot of publicly available information on eBay and other resale websites. So I was going for something $40 or greater, but kind of through negotiations with my roommates, we actually put new batteries in it and tested it on our Xbox. And unfortunately, my roommates found that the controller was pretty sticky and wasn't working as well as it should have been. And kind of as a result of this, I lost all legitimacy I really had at that previous resale price point. And kind of moving forward, I was pretty unsure what the value would look like and really what other what else I'd be able to trade for, kind of with a weak Patna, considering the controller could be anywhere from even $0 to like $20 at this point. So kind of as a result of that, my roommate still had a book he'd previously read for class that he didn't need anymore, so it was pretty valueless to him. And it was in good condition, so I thought kind of by trading for that, it would hopefully set us up in the future to kind of bounce back and create some more value in future trades.
So moving on to the negotiation for the perfume. At this time, this was also a pretty interesting trade where I had just gotten the book from Cole and it was sitting on my kitchen counter as I was making dinner. And ironically enough, my roommate came into the house and was confused, asking us why there was a book on the counter that she needed for class. She asked if anyone else had it for a class as well. So after I explained the project to her and I said, this is what I needed to trade, she said, all right, let me see if I can trade something because I have to go to the bookstore tomorrow to get this book. Literally I have to pay money, so I'd rather trade, save myself money and a trip to the bookstore. So I understood that this was her interest. My interest was gaining value in the negotiation and also just making a trade. And I went in with a somewhat weak BATNA, knowing that this book could be useless to anyone, except in this situation it was useful to my roommate. And I also knew I could leverage off of our relationship as she was a good friend. So when she offered me the Marc Jacobs perfume, I was ecstatic because I knew that this perfume had value. It was definitely worth a considerable amount of money, even though it was half used. And I knew that both interests were going to be met in this negotiation. So it worked really well.
So throughout our different negotiations, we all collectively had a lot of lessons that we learned in general. So one negotiation tactic that we thought worked really well was engaging in clear communication. With each negotiation, all three of us remained clear with the third party about what our primary objective was, which was to make a trade with them. That's essentially how we were able to like acquire the Kate Spade wallet preliminarily. That was due to Carly saying to her room, "Hi, I have a project. Would you trade with me?" She was engaging in quick communication and being very forthcoming, and so that helped get a item that had significant value. Another negotiation tactic that thought worked well was preparation before negotiating. In the negotiations where our team saw a bit more success, we noticed that we had a preliminary like baseline as to what monetary value going for. So once we all knew the resale value of the previous item that was acquired, we were more prepared to engage in a negotiation that was actually going to result in value creation. We also were able to kind of outline what BATNA was, and were able to understand their interests better, and even gave a bit more thought of the interests of the other party. Another negotiation tactic that we utilized was the principal agent relationship. So we kind of had this concept with our trades, and this allowed us to be a bit more agile in executing our trades. So every single person conducted their own trades and acted essentially as an agent for the two other people who were not trades, were our principals essentially. And so that allowed for all of us to divvy up our trades and to have like multiple minds thinking about our trades, which allowed us to kind of just optimize our trades in general. And then finally, we found that we accepted the first offer for pretty much every trade. And we were still able to build value off of this. In like negotiation practice, it's commonly stated to never really receive first or accept the first offer received. But due to us like having BATNA of not making a trade, having a deadline to complete trades, we ended up accepting the first offer, but that actually ended up working out, and we were able to successfully create value between each trade. So those were our reflections, and thank you very, very much.